Raider Nation, it's time to stand up.
Hey, just one time, I need it. Raiders. Third down and a long one. Jacobs back in the game. The rookie for the touchdown.
Snap of the gun. He's sacked. He is going down. Max Crosby.
Pass on the slant, complete.
Raider Nation, stand up. Please stand up. Cover 3 Deep Raider podcast here. Dwayne Douglas, podcasting out through the shores of the Atlantic Ocean. I got my man Ken out there in Jersey doing his thing out there and in paradise. You know, everybody loves to visit. California's little baby island out there in Hawaii. Everybody from California, since I moved out here, you got to go to Hawaii. You got to go to Hawaii. That's where Sean.
You do?
I do have to go out there. I can't wait to go out there and sit on the beach and just, as we get this Moderna, we'll be good to go.
Yeah. Yes,
we'll be good to go. Please hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, Live, YouTube. Check out the YouTube channel as well. Thanks for all the folks checking us out there. 858-429-94 is the text line. Folks listening to us in Columbus, Ohio, Hugh, Ohio. Let's see, West Sacramento, San Jose, and Compton, California. Listening to the Cover 3 Deep Raider podcast. So I definitely appreciate everybody doing that. We have a guest on our show. Her name is Heidi Fang. She works for the Review Journal out there in Vegas. She covers the Raiders on that Vegas Nation podcast. Heidi, how you doing today?
I am really great, guys. Thank you so much for having me on. And I'm just excited to come back and be on the show again.
Yes, you were one of our first guests, and now this is we're going another season, so another off season for the Raiders, and we're happy to have you back. I think the first question I want to hit you up with was, this was the first year the Raiders in Vegas and everything like that. How crazy was it to do it in a COVID situation?
I tell you, it was unlike anything else that I've ever seen. My son had to come up. He's here joining the show.
Hey.
That's all right.
So, it was something unlike anything that I've ever been part of, just generally, because when you have, he's got Baby Shark going. I'm so sorry, guys.
I told you. Hey.
We're all parents here. We've heard it. We all have young now. We know Baby Shark very well.
Baby Shark. He's getting it down. Did I lose you there? Okay, so yeah, basically just going through it and the parameters and not having fans, it was definitely different than anything. So it was hopefully a one-off for the virus and everything, but it's just hoping that normalcy returns. Hope to see some fans in Allegiant. Most importantly, that's I think it'd be great to have people back, but beautiful stadium, still waiting to be christened by Raider Nation. And basically, just overall, everything that I saw, it was tough on the players. It was a strain on them, no off season, and you felt that. And so hopefully this year, there's, the vaccines out there, there's different protocols. Everyone kind of now has a baseline of how this works. So I'm hoping that now we get to see a different kind of feature when we get back to 2021.
As far as the off season goes, can you give us a couple of things here, like the best movie you like the most so far this off season, and the one that you were like scratching your head thinking about what are you thinking about this off season?
Well, I'll start with your head scratcher, just because I think it went the same for everybody. Kenyon Drake, very talented. I'm not going to take that away from him. Kenyon Drake is amazing as a player and somebody that you want to have as a part of a dynamic backfield. But when you have overall just the idea that you need safety, that you need a cornerback, that you need a defensive tackle and a defensive end, it's really tough to be able to figure out the idea why they went after somebody when you have somebody as good as Josh Jacobs in the mix. So I guess my only thought was, okay, they want somebody who can get more out of the backfield. The Jalen Richard kind of fills that role. But if you need another 1-2 punch and a 3, I remember back when the Giants had Earth, Wind, and Fire. Maybe that's the idea that you're thinking of with Gruden, or even if you go back to his Tampa Bay or Raiders teams, the late 90s, early 2000s. That was kind of what he was working with. So maybe that's the dynamic that he was going after with that. Now, the one I'm most impressed with, obviously, they're kind of obvious ones, is Yanique and Dockway. So I'm excited to see what he does, knowing the system that Gus Bradley has, and already having the established relationship there. I think is going to work out well for the team, and maybe somebody that can really set the edge. That's something that the Raiders defense is needed. And in my opinion, a force like Ngakoue is somebody that's going to create double team situations. He's somebody that other offensive linemen are going to have to respect, that other offenses are going to have to look at and say, how do we protect against him? So I think he still has it in the tank, despite being on his fourth team in 7 months. I think that he's a guy that is going to really charge after it and be a difference maker on the defense.
Yeah, as soon as they got Jacobs, and they already had Jacobs, but when they got Drake, I thought in my head about what they have in Cleveland. So maybe that's where he's going. I know we had Wheatley and Charlie Gardner back in the day, so maybe he's trying to rekindle that. Take it to Hawaii now, Sean. Take it over.
No, yeah, just a segue from what you were just saying, Heidi. Like I'm on the same baseline. Is that I'm just looking at the organizational structure of the franchise. I'm concerned because I believe they went out and they got their splash defensive pass rusher, which was absolutely urgent. So they got Yanique and Dockway. Rumors are they were trying to trade for him a year ago as well. But they got him in-house. That's good. Max Crosby played an incredibly high snap count with injuries, with off-field struggles, with all things going on. So I think that's a brilliant chess piece to put next to him. I'm with you on the head scratcher. So Drake, you're talking about 11 million for that to me is Gruden. Like that's all Gruden. There's no Mayock philosophy there. You don't pay a complimentary luxury. I mean, I agree with you. He's a good player, but he's a luxury piece for a team to add. I don't think we have that luxury with getting rid of essentially 3 starters in the offensive line, having a defense that was NFL historically bad at moments on the back end, and now just bearing the news today, looks like they're in talks with Carl Joseph. So with all that, how much defensive philosophy urgency do you see in the early top of the draft? To me, it feels like Gruden said, Gus is here. You figure these guys out. We already drafted them in that first and second round. What do you see them doing? What kind of players are they targeting?
Well, I like Trayvon Moehrig. He's a guy out of TCU that I think he could make a good safety in the system. I like him. I like also going tackle because it's such a talent-rich year for that in the land of offensive tackles, and you definitely have the hole there at right tackle that needs to be filled. Though when I look over it and you look, Stanford has a guy. There's the guy at Elijah Vera Tucker. He's another one that we were talking about on a show I just did. Then there was a few others in the mix when you go down trying to go through all of them in my head, and I just can't right now because every single name. There's a lot of guys, but Rashawn Slater obviously is a name right off the top, but I don't think that he'll last into where the 17 pick is. So I think there's still talent, and if you look at SEC tackles, you got a guy out of Alabama coming through. I think he's a guard actually in the later rounds. So I think there's a lot of room for the Raiders to maneuver into picking somebody on the offensive side of the ball. Defense, there's a lot of good safeties in this draft, but then again, you're looking at bringing in somebody again, a young player that's going to have to learn a defense, or offense in a system that may or may not have an off season. So it's something I wish they had addressed in the free agents market and picked up somebody there that could be a veteran. But now when you have to go to the draft and find another safety, it's not to take away anything from some of these young guys that are really hungry and talented and ready to make a splash in the NFL. But it comes down to how much of a playmaker are they going to be immediately in a defense. So that's what I thought of when I look at the draft. But those are the few names that come to mind. I think they have to go tackle safety. I don't know if 17 or 48, depending on how everything goes. It's a lot of people at the top very quarterback hungry, and of course that 3-way trade, Miami and 49ers and all that kind of made things interesting. But they're not going to say, hey, we're going after a quarterback, so you just kind of have to think, Like, is that really what's happening there? So I think everything could be what we think it is, but it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out and what the Raiders do at 17, 48, and the couple picks that they have in the third round.
Yeah, and I'm of the same way. The way I look at it is every pick essentially in this Gruden 2.0 era has been overdrafted. Colton Miller worked out. He was overdrafted, but it looks like a good pick. They already recouped him. I think that was interesting that they did that now. But there's a very, very concerning cap number right now. We still have a rookie free agent class to sign. They're talking to Carl Joseph. It looks like they're trying to check a box at free safety and then probably still add one. There's still talks of, and I can see it, they want that veteran mind, that Richard Sherman to come in with Gus Bradley and help these young guys. I am almost feeling it's inevitable, looking at the money and looking at how they just bailed out Colton Miller, gave him the money now, got opted out these other guys. They restructured Kwiatkowski. They restructured Littleton. They restructured Carl Nassib. Like, this is just showing they're not managing things financially correctly. So to me, what's the move? Like, do you know intel? Like, I feel like Derek Carr is going to get restructured or a new contract. I feel like that's going to happen before the draft because I just don't see how they're going to do it if the right player is released from another team after the draft, and then there'll be nice veterans available, which Gruden just salivates over. He's going to want to bring in. Do you suspect anything in the organization? Another big transactional move to free up money?
Yeah, there has to be. I think I know that with Mariota that they did that one as well. But
point,
you have to think of where where else they can do it.
Mm-hmm.
How else are they going to find the money in the room to wiggle? And it's just that's what's going to really be interesting is how they manage that. It's like you said, it's tough. You think that they have to restructure DC's contract, but now when you look back at when they did fix his contract out and make him one of the highest paid quarterbacks ever, now he's right along the line of being an averagely paid quarterback.
Right.
So it's
like Darren Waller, he's on
him,
a good deal too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. Like, he's a steal if you compare to what Travis Kelce's making. Thank God. So yeah, it's I can't tell you. I don't have any great inside information that would help settle that out. It's just one of those things that it isn't really that much discussed as far as who's going to be taking the hits and where, but it's something that you have to think about because right now they maybe have about 20 million and all the moves that I thought earlier on would happen did. So now it's like, okay, where else are you going to pull from? Where else are you going to restructure? How are you going to make that happen? So yeah, it's like you said, it's a crazy year for every team with that cap. So how it works out, I don't know, but it's going to be something to see how it shakes out. If I get any information, I'm totally tweeting it and I'm tagging you on it. Right
I
there.
hope so. I'm
I
expecting something off the wall. I'm gonna pass you on to Ken and Jersey in a second. But like, when you were talking draft, I'm under influence that there's no way they're using all those picks. They're trading down. They're moving. In my opinion, I'd be happy if they just took 3 guys. And then they can scour the camp cuts over the summer and add the other pieces. But to me, you need to get impact players. So you can't sit on your hands with these 4th, 5th, 6th round pick. Let's see it. It's time to win. But thank you for your time, and I'll pass you on to Ken.
Hey, you got it.
Hey, Heidi, always one of my favorite follows on Twitter.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm tired. So I just wanted to get into one thing with you, and it's kind of a controversial subject. And I was thinking,
do it. It wasn't me.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. Non-Raider news, but I was thinking about what I was going to ask you, and I wanted to talk to you about your point of view on the whole Deshaun Watson situation. Now, I know that you work in a predominantly male field. Like, there's a lot of males. There's probably a lot of egos. There's you're a pretty woman, and I'm sure you get messed with a lot. We're starting to see the fall of what's going to happen with this really great player, really good. His name was being thrown around coming to the Raiders a lot. What is your outlook on this? Is he done? Is he going to? It looks scary to me. I mean,
well, I think there's a lot of ways that this can be looked at. one of the immediate things that jumps off the page, just, and it's not to take away from any of the cases whatsoever, but when he put his name out there and said, I'm going to leave, now there's a lot of reasons that he can't. So that's one thing that jumps out. But as a woman, like you said, in this business, when I walked into Sirius NFL radio and I started working there, I was the first female to ever be hired in that sports department full time. Wow. So, and I went through my tests with the people. There were a lot of people who were like, does she really know the game though? And the reason I actually got the job was because I knew the game. So like, that's one of those things that I feel as a woman, there's
plenty of men who don't know the game. So don't worry about that. And they got blue check marks.
That's true.
Just saying.
I mean, it was one of those things. You walk in there and you're tested. They throw questions at you. Name a Hall of Famer. Name somebody that scored 3 touchdowns in a game. And what was Brett Favre's highest passer rating ever? Just random things they start throwing at you. And it was a lot in the way that I carried myself that I earned the respect of people. And like I didn't go extra like out of my way to prove it. But if I was challenged, you better be ready. You better be ready for it, because I'll bring it. But it's something that it shouldn't happen, but it does. And it's just and in terms of what's happened with these women, that's really concerning that so many have come forward, so many. And sometimes you always want to look and go, allegedly, benefit of the doubt, this was something that he did in a altered state. Maybe he drank too much and came on a little sloppy and things got misconstrued. You never want to just automatically accuse somebody, but when there's so much that's surrounding the situation, you have to start, it raises eyebrows. You have to start questioning, like, where did this happen? How did it happen? What were the circumstances? And then on top of that, you have to look at the people that are making the accusations and why now. It's like they had so many that I was reading some of it that had happened, and I believe they were trying to settle. Now they're not settling, they're making it part of the case. So it's concerning, obviously. And then the other part of it is just that you want to see, how does he approach this? What is his stand? Obviously he's saying he's not guilty, that this didn't happen, but at some point you have to say what did happen. You got to let the people know, okay, well, this is with this one, this is what, and you got to come forward, you got to come clean. And that's the only way to really keep your name as being one of the revered quarterbacks that he is in the NFL. So I mean, it's definitely concerning. You don't want to think, okay, yeah, Deshaun Watson did all that, but so many cases you have to think, well, that's a lot, and it can't be all coincidence. So but thanks for that question, man. I appreciate the honesty. You just like coming out. It's a hard question to ask, and I hope I did it some justice. And
no, it's a crazy subject. What scares me is because there are so many cases and women that stay silent, and whether they are paid off or whatever. And it's scary because if they are paid off, that gentleman or whomever just goes to the next one because they know they can get away with it. And I'm wondering if this is going to start a domino effect in the NFL, and who else has done this. And then it makes me like Derek Carr even more, because he comes off as a guy that I don't see him being in this situation.
Never.
Nope.
So
squeaky clean.
About as clean as it gets.
And then you ask, people complain about Derek Carr, but he's not going to be in the. Well, anyway, Heidi, my internet connection is really bad. I'm going to pass you back over to Dwayne. Thank you so much, and God bless.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, Heidi.
I'll say
froze.
No, I was just gonna say real quick, so guys, just stay on his topic since Ken got cut out. But I was just gonna say, for me, what was interesting, kind of like what you were mirroring, is I know at some point a lawyer is gonna tell you be quiet, and normally when a lawyer is telling you to be quiet, it's because there's concern. You can build a deeper thing, and one of the women who came out, her reaction was, the first time he denied everything is making more of us come out, because if he would have just released a statement, look, I'm sorry, I apologize, I whatever was sexually inappropriate. They're saying a lot of these women, in that field, were like, they see this from other people too, would kind of be like, okay, at least he's taking ownership. But he's been on the other end, and I think, to Ken's point, that's where the domino effect is coming. When you deny like that, and you have that celebrity figure and that privilege, if you will, like, I think that's where it's a slippery slope, where I don't know who to believe, but when I see it just like going down like that, it looks like he's mishandling it, and he's putting too much trust in a lawyer, which it normally means you're guilty, in my opinion.
We're gonna need a legal correspondent here on the Cover for Deep Raider podcast.
Oh, gee, right?
To get through NFL season, and this is also a season in the NFL where they are putting out all these videos celebrating the advancement of women in front offices and the coaching ranks too. So you got to make sure you got to toe that line, if you will. 17 game season this year coming up. What are your thoughts about that? That's a big change for the league. And I did have an MMA question for you as well.
Oh, yeah. I like the MMA questions. So, yeah, when you had the 17th game and 9, with the AFC side, I think for the Raiders, that's great to have another opportunity to showcase Allegiant. And, of course, the Bears. So it's someone I know Raider fans want to see. Yep. Can't go wrong. So Khalil Mack comes to Las Vegas against Derek Carr, and that's going to be a fun game. I can't wait to be a part of it again. It's like every year I wonder, honestly, what my role will be, because since I kind of considered like myself as a multimedia journalist, I take photos, I take video, I write a little bit, and I just never know where don't forget the podcast, where they're going to put me. So, and I love it. I love kind of the day-to-day being in the NFL, and then getting the opportunity to do what I do, and that I get to have the opportunity to be multifaceted in it. It's a dream. It is like, you can't I can't say anything else other than this is the dream that I had when I set out with a sports career, what I wanted to do. And I'm just excited to be a part of what I do get to do, but I digress. That game will be really great to watch. Looking forward to having another one here at Allegiant, but I think it's great to get rid of that extra preseason game, because what do you do anyway in the fourth week? You don't see starters. It's an opportunity to see some of these younger guys, who's going to fill a role in special teams. But when you need to start cranking out, close games, close ranks in the divisions down the line, it adds another part that it makes your mind work with the mathematics, how things will shake out towards the end of the season. And I think it'll make it really exciting. And also when you ask, just the 17-week season, I think that the guys, conditioning, when you start looking at OTAs and mandatory minicamps, those things become so much more important, because they have to get up to speed quicker. And you see a lot of the Raiders already out here in Las Vegas working around different parks to get themselves tuned up. So you got to love that spirit that they're out there doing that.
No question about it. So last week, like 2 weeks ago, the last MMA event they had, I actually watched it for the first time. That was my first time. I stayed away I stayed away for the longest time. So I didn't watch it. So now I understand. So I understand. And I feel like this sport just completely destroys boxing because number one, the people who you really want to see fight, they actually fight. They're fighting for their job, because if they don't keep winning, they're not in the league anymore. Because my friend was explaining everything to me, and the whole, I mean, there's a science to the fighting style. I thought it was just people just going in a backyard and just getting their heads. No, nothing like that. It was back when Kimbo was. Exactly. It was on some backyard. Exactly. And I just feel like, I mean, I see its place, and I feel like, I don't know how the sport of, I know boxing will still have its little thing, and it'll have big events, but I don't, as a consistent entity, I don't see how it even can compete with MMA. And the event in Florida is going to be huge.
Oh,
yeah. So like, boxing for me now, after I watched my first MMA fight, and then it was like UFC 34 BJ Penn. That's one of my favorite fights ever.
Yep.
But then you go
Huge
back and you go back after that, and then you try to watch, Klitschko and heavyweight fight. And you're like, where's the knees?
Yeah.
Where's that elbow him in the head?
Oh yeah.
So I'm waiting for that dynamic, and I'm like, okay, footwork, yay, move your head movement, and that's the take. Not boxers work hard, man. They are conditioned to the hilt.
Yes.
I can't stand in there and do what they do in the cardio, the discipline, and all of that. I can't. So I don't want to take away anything from any athletes that train 100% for what they do, but when you compare them, obviously I'm an MMA girl. So
Nice.
I love watching guys like Lomachenko, Chocolatito. All of these guys are great. But it's like, Tyson Fury, he's another one, highly entertaining. But overall, when you start thinking about the sports and how it breaks down, like, give me the elbows, give me the knees. I want to see the takedown, throw somebody, slam them. Let's do it.
I think what's cool about that, and being out in Hawaii, like shout out BJ Penn, Max Holloway, like we got decorated like MMA, like people out here have been trained because of Asian influence pipeline here, kind of the same as Brazil when the Japanese were immigrants in Brazil during, like it just comes from different aspects, but I love it. Like I watch boxing and I'm like, why would anyone pay for this? Like they got 16-ounce gloves on.
It's over.
They all have 6-pack abs, and they're all like, there's nothing. Like there's only one way the fight's gonna end. But you watch MMA, and one person's can stand, 3 different ways and fight with the different tools in the bag, and it's just so much more exciting than sitting in a boxing ring. And then boxing goes so much times to decision, and it's like the decisions are terrible. So it's like I don't see the investment return anymore. But I'm glad Dwayne.
I still can't get over. I still can't get over that first one with Triple G and Canelo. I can't get over it.
And look, and here's an interesting thing.
I seen Canelo out here. I seen Canelo out here.
Oh yeah,
a couple months ago. Yeah.
But here's the thing about boxing. Now look at how its ratings have changed. Now look at actually the type of people boxing now are social media stars. People with beef in social media are linking up to box, like, and the numbers are there to watch them. And like, to me, it's all wrong. Like MMA just has a different type of pedigree right now, and I feel like it's quicker, it's more movement, and it matches the way society's going and how people want quicker results. Love it.
That's a great point.
No question about it. Yeah, I just think it's I see why. I used to stay away.
Dwayne's gonna be in you're gonna be rolling soon and on the mat. I'm waiting for it.
I'm good.
Get it. I'm telling you, dude,
I'll stay at second base and center field. I'm good. I'll watch it though. I'll watch it.
I just gotta throw my 2 cents in because I'm a big boxing fan. I was big 80s, 90s.
Me too.
And Tommy Hearns, man.
Yeah, it's Tommy Hearns. Yeah, definitely.
That was the pinnacle of boxing with that era.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, it's such a great division. You had all these great boxers, but I agree. I think MMA has transcended. And you got Sean, you brought up some great points. You don't know what's going to happen. It doesn't go to decisions as much, and it's more enjoyable. We want to see that blood and all over the place and whatnot. They don't stop the fight.
They keep going. Until somebody taps out. Heidi, thank you for joining us. Listen, Heidi is basically I'm a big baseball fan. She's that infielder who could play third base, shortstop, second base, play a little center field, play right field. She can catch a couple innings too. Like she does it all over there in Vegas, covering the Raiders. And appreciate you having us coming on the show. And I know you got some Baby Shark to listen to, so. We'll
Baby Shark do.
We'll let you do that.
An appearance.
Exactly. Take care.
Thanks a lot, guys.
No problem.
Take care.